I hadn't thought too much about the term man up and what it specifically does to men, but also women. And this is something that I'm very passionate about. Like I speak so much about the conditioning that I myself have been or have had put on me. Now, this is also partly to do with my own development when it comes to holding space. So, let's begin with the term man up. Men have been led to believe that we have to provide, we have to be physically strong, we have to, have our shit together financially, we have to basically not show any emotion. And this is a paradox that men deeply struggle with. Now, what I want you to consider is something that we spoke about last night on our Facebook Live, me and Damien, is how women also want men to be in touch with their emotions. Now, the funny thing with that is, when men are in touch with their emotions, women, I'm generalising here, women don't like it. They perceive that man as weak. They perceive that man as unstable. And those things that they perceive that man as are not attractive. It's not something that makes a woman feel safe. So let's move in the direction of a relationship. And let's say, as a woman, your man never shows any emotion, and you have this deep desire for him to start opening up and speaking about the things that either upset him, that he's scared of, that he's struggling with. And the reason that you want him to open up about this is because you actually want to help him, because you love him. Now, because of this term, man up, and the conditioning and all the beliefs and the stories around this term of man up, women also believe subconsciously that men shouldn't open up and be vulnerable and show any sign of weakness, and when they do, they don't feel safe. So let's say, for instance, your boyfriend, husband, whatever he may be, starts or begins to feel like he can start opening up about how he's actually feeling. And because you've never experienced him opening up about his emotions and his fears and all the things that he's struggling with, you actually don't know what to do with this. And in this very moment of him opening up, and say he's sat beside you on the sofa, and he finally starts finding the words and the courage to be able to just let it all come out, and he starts opening up to you and allowing himself to be vulnerable. In that moment, you have no fucking clue what to do. So your immediate response is to metaphorically push back on him opening up and expressing how he's feeling. And this could potentially come in the form of you saying, wow, like, I didn't really know that you felt like this. Where has all this come from? In that very moment, you are showing him that you don't want him to open up. That is exactly how the man will feel. Whether that is your intention or not, that is how he's going to feel. Now, when it comes to holding space, what does holding space actually mean? This is something that I've had to learn the hard way, and it's only been the last year or two that I've started to learn this. So when someone is opening up to you about something that is very personal, very vulnerable and intimate, whatever it may be, say they've come to you with something like I don't know, something that you feel deeply uncomfortable with, like fill in the blank here. I don't know what you feel deeply uncomfortable with, but say someone comes to you with something that you feel uncomfortable with and you don't know what to do. Holding space means that you literally just sit there with them and allow them to open up. You don't try and fix, you don't try and make them feel better, you certainly don't give them advice. Holding space is about you holding the space for them to feel safe to open up. And let's relate this back to your relationship, and I'm talking here specifically from the female point of view. So your husband, boyfriend, has just started to open up to you and started to say, I'm struggling with, let's say, and this is a huge thing for a man. Let's say that he starts opening up about the self-doubt that he's got around being able to financially provide. He might run his own business. He might be struggling with debt. Whatever it is financially, for a man, this is very, very hard to open up about, because we have this huge, very deep internal belief that we have to provide. And if we're not feeling like we are providing or can provide, it massively emasculates us. So let's say he comes to you and starts speaking about he's got these self-doubts and, he's struggling financially and, he's scared that he can't provide. Allow him the space to express these feelings. He doesn't want you to say, oh, don't worry, we can do this together, or, he doesn't want you to come up with any solutions. He certainly doesn't want you to try to make him feel better. All he wants is you to listen. He wants you to listen. That is it. And in that moment where you're allowing him the space to truly be vulnerable and truly open up about all these fears, he will feel so much safer to open up. And going back to the early part of this video when I said, you want him to open up and be vulnerable and start speaking about his emotions, this is how you will enable him to start opening up more. And this will allow him the opportunity, and this will be an invitation for him to open up more to you, because he knows that whatever he brings to you, you can hold for him. Now, going back to my own relationship and how I've navigated things like this in the past, like the masculine way of navigating conversations like this with a woman is to be very much in our heads. We instantly want to come up with solutions. That is the masculine way. We want to come up with a solution because we feel like we need to fix you. And this isn't from a place of like us feeling like the woman isn't worthy or is broken, or we're fixers. As men, we want to fix. Now, physically, I couldn't fucking fix a door on a cabinet, but when it comes to my relationship, I want to help Charis as much as I possibly can, and I've recognised, going through my own coaching programs, and I've invested in coaches and read so many books and invested in my own education around communication and holding space. And what Charis also needs is exactly the same as what I just said I need and men need in a relationship. She needs me to hold space for her to be able to open up and be vulnerable. Once you can start to do that for each other, instead of trying to fix and offer solutions and advice, it creates so much more of a deeper connection, which is ultimately, in a relationship, what we want. We want to be able to connect with our partner on the deepest level possible. We don't want surface level relationships, and the majority of relationships will be surface level if you don't enable your partner the space to open up without trying to come up with a solution. So the biggest takeaway that I can give to you right now is when your partner is beginning to open up about something, don't ask questions, don't offer advice, don't even put your arm around them. Just sit with them and look at them and hold that space and be very, let them know that you are safe in this moment. That's all that we want. We want to know that we are safe to just lay all our shit on the table and our partner to just see us and not run a mile. And the paradox to this is, if you try and fix, you are metaphorically running a mile because you feel uncomfortable sitting in the emotions with them. So every single time that your partner is coming to you with something, please just sit in the emotion with them and allow them to express. And don't try to come up with a solution. Sorry, just going through the comments. Damien. A listening ear in a relationship is always needed, not to reply but to understand. 110%. That is exactly what we want. We just want to know that we're seen and heard. That's it. Maz. My ex-husband threw me out in the middle of a breakdown. And that's the thing. He clearly did not feel comfortable sitting with you and your emotions. And it can be so easy for us, say for instance you right there in that situation when he threw you out, you could have internalised that, and I'm not saying you did or you didn't, but you may have felt like you're over dramatic, too emotional, all these things that women are led to believe. And it was actually about him. He didn't feel safe sitting with you in your emotion. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to finish my coffee before it gets cold, and actually be present with my cup of coffee. So if you've got any questions or any thoughts on this, please just drop them in the comments section. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Anyway, have an awesome day, everyone.